right, welcome everyone. Thanks for tuning in wherever you may be listening from across the Aloha State. Today we're going to talk about our holiday shopping, spending, budgeting type of episode here. It is the holiday season. We're full throttle right in the middle of it. Uh, Hope everybody's enjoying themselves. I love this time of year. Paul, I'm sure you love this time of year as well. How's everything going with your family and holiday preparation?
Yeah, family's been good. Big time Christmas people.
Sure,
Decorations a galore. Our house is done. Lights are up at yeah. So we're a big holiday family. But
sure.
yeah, things are going good. Thanks.
Yeah, I got my lights up. I'm a day after Thanksgiving guy, so the weekend after Thanksgiving I put the lights up and it's minimal. It's not I think you go above and beyond, right?
A little bit, yeah. We've had a trolley come past our house before.
Awesome. Yeah, I love it. Great time of year. So I think for this episode we're just going to talk about some tips, things to consider when it comes to holiday spending, right? Because this time of year, I think everybody wakes up in January, February, and they look back and they're like, geez, spent some money there for the holidays. And it's money well spent, right? It's good times and all that. But we'll just touch on some things to consider. I think starting off would be a good place to start would be having a plan and budgeting, especially for those expensive gifts. If you know you're going to buy somebody this expensive item, it's good to have a plan going into it. Maybe think about it a few months out and start saving for that gift. What do you think?
I mean, I think going into any type of situation, specifically in this case, the holidays, it's always good to have a plan, right?
Sure.
Whether it's starting early, right, or looking for options or different things that come up. Um, but yeah, evaluating, what me and my wife do, right? We evaluate like kind of like what we want to spend or what we're, budgeting what we can afford to spend and basically break it down on different people, different circumstances, different relationships, and we kind of just set a budget per person. And that's typically what we do. And we can definitely go overboard, like you said.
Sure.
And I bet you there's some people still paying off last year's Christmas somewhere. So
Right. And it's so hard because I think a lot of people they have their hearts are in the right place and they just want to have a great time and make people happy. The problem is the spending spree starts and it's hard to reel it in. You get in that holiday mode and you just start swiping that credit card and buying things. So that's the next thing I wanted to talk about is kind of credit cards. I like credit cards. Some people are cash only type people. I like credit cards because they offer that cash back, right? Or you get your miles. You're kind of getting rewarded for spending.
mhm.
The downside to that is it's so easy to do. There's a less friction in the purchase. You just tap, 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 and move along.
Yeah.
So it's important to be responsible, or maybe responsible is not the right word, but be diligent and know when to reel it in. Don't you agree?
No, 100%. And in a lot of cases, the fact that we can tap, right? I mean, like I remember when you had to swipe, right, and then you
Yeah.
could insert the tip, the chip. Anyway, that's all
Oh
irrelevant.
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, now that's just such an easy thing, just quick. That really creates a different mindset on how we're spending, right? It doesn't feel we can't feel it, right?
Right. Right.
Until that bill comes. And like you, I'm a credit card user. I'm a component of those different points and those systems. I think they're great. But yeah, being responsible in the fact that or being smart about can we actually afford these, right? Because this payment will come, right? This
Right.
this will come due.
Sure.
Um,
Sure.
but yeah, definitely leveraging different things like that can help you achieve some of those goals too, right? Because if you get cash back, you can use some of that to kind of budget out some of those things because you're going to expect some but cash back from that. Obviously it's 1 to 2% in most cases, but yeah, I like it.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. And so maybe you get your 1%, 3%, 5% cash back, right? Makes the purchase a little better. And then also if you do your research, this is where the planning comes in. And
Yeah.
obviously we're planners being, financial advisors here. We're planning type of people. If you can figure out what you're going to get early, you could take advantage of those Black Fridays, the Cyber Mondays, and you get the cash back. So maybe you get a 10% deal on Black Friday plus the 3% cash back, 13%, right? I mean, it's important to do your research and find those gifts, the deals. And I think the hard part is always figuring out what to get for people. I
Really.
am terrible at it. And I never know what to get anybody. Thank goodness I have my wife who's very good and takes care of a lot of that for me, because it's just not in me. How about
Yeah.
you?
No, I mean, I'd say I'm right there with you. I mean, I mean, for me and my wife, we typically, responsibly, right? But when we want something, and it's within our budget, we're typically buying it, in the moments that we're thinking about it. We don't really wait for Christmas or different holidays and stuff like that.
Sure.
But to your point, my wife does a lot of that shopping. We definitely talk through stuff, but I would just second, doing your research, especially when it comes to, things that are, over, a certain dollar amount, right? So if you have like, a $50 budget or $100 budget, do your research, find the highest quality. Don't
Hmm.
necessarily look for the number one option on the top of the list. Like that might not be the best one. And I
Right.
think there's such great reviews, reviews are on everything now,
Hmm.
that you can find out like that there are better options, and Black Friday and Cyber Monday, like you mentioned, I think are great times of the year to consider shopping. But I would also say have an agenda, or like have like, hey, here's what I'm looking for,
Sure.
because I feel like media and like, I mean, I'm sure like you, right? Like you go look for something online and you go on Facebook or Instagram later and you're like, what in the world? Like,
Right. Right. Right.
so for me, like I've been looking at cold plunges, different things like that. And now it's on
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
feed everywhere, right? So there's marketing. They're trying to get you to buy stuff. And
Right. Right.
anyway, so do your research. I think that's super important, because there's a lot of great deals, but the quality of the product might not necessarily be the best.
Yeah. Absolutely. One thing that just came to mind that I like to think of too is when it comes to like the spending, and we kind of talked about overspending, right, with the credit cards and all. Um, I'm not gonna lecture anybody from on high and say, reel it in, but I am a big believer, and I'm curious what your thoughts are on, we're all at different phases of our life financially
Yeah.
and emotionally, physically, whatever. But if you're not in the place financially to make these purchases, I like to think, you know, maybe don't swing for the fences this year and take care of yourself financially,
Yeah.
so that in 10, 15, 20 years, you'll be in such a good place that you can always swing for the fences. You know what I mean? That delayed gratification, I think it applies to gift giving as well.
Oh, 100%. And I have no problem going a little bit stronger because, they use that analogy of like an airplane, right? If the oxygen mask comes down, what do they tell you to
Right,
do,
right.
right? Put your oxygen mask on first so you can help others, right?
Sure.
So if you are in a financial situation where affording a gift for, you know, your second niece or your fourth
Right.
cousin, right? Like, don't do it. Like, I mean, honestly,
Right.
figure out who are the most important, figure out what that budget is, and because this time of year is not meant for gift giving. It's just kind of become the
Right.
thing that people do. But you know what? Sometimes your physical presence is the best present for people.
Sure.
And that time could be way more valuable at the end of the day than that trinket or that tchotchke that you give them that they're
Right.
probably going to forget about in 3 to 6 months. Right. So anyway,
Yeah.
I have no problem getting really hard there because I agree with that. Like, um, so much. So
Yeah. No, absolutely. Sometimes the best gift you can give is to get yourself in a better position to be, more present or better
absolutely.
later on. Uh,
Absolutely.
okay, so moving along too, I think this is a good time of year to think about uh charitable giving. And
Yeah.
a lot of what we do is there's things you can do with your retirement accounts or taxable accounts. There's a lot of things with gifting and donating to these charities. And I think this is just a good time of year for those fortunate enough to have a little bit, extra on the plate, right? Identify those charities, because there's a lot of people that do without
Yeah.
this time of year, right? I mean, a lot of people don't have the means. So, I think it's always a good time of year to reflect on that.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I guess before maybe we get into like how we do it, my sister-in-law is a great example of this. Every year she's always like, hey, like this year, like let's not buy gifts for one another, right? Let's like, or if she's like, she would say like, oh, if you want to buy me a gift, just give it to one of these two organizations instead of giving me a gift, right? So I mean,
I like that.
even though you might not be able to be charitably inclined, maybe you as an individual, you don't necessarily need anything else, and maybe you want to say, hey, instead of buying me a gift, let's give it away. But which is awesome, right? Most people don't have that thought process, so I think she's awesome in that. But I guess when we think about charity, like, or giving, what are some ways, if you want to go into this, what are some ways, Jason, that someone could potentially do that? As the Hawaii Retirement Show, we do talk about investing in different types of accounts. What are, if you want to go there, what are some ways someone can do that?
Yeah, I mean, so with some qualified accounts, tax advantage accounts, if you donate directly to a qualified charity, and that's important. It can't just be a friend's
Charity case,
charity fishing company. They need to be qualified.
Yeah.
But if you do that, so for instance, like on a traditional account where you're tax deferred, right, you can donate that money and avoid the tax penalty, or not the penalty, but just the taxes on that money, right?
Right. Yeah.
And there's thresholds like for even gifting. I don't have the number handy, but like, what is the annual exclusion? It's like $16,000 or $17,000 that you can give, and there's no gift tax. And the gifting can be done to anybody, family member, grandchildren, and there's no gift tax on any of that.
Yeah.
So that's just a couple ways to do it. Yeah, I think we'll probably do an episode on charitable giving to kind of outline the different ways to do it.
Yeah, that'd be great. So, I mean, with that, any last thoughts? Maybe some of your thoughts here on the last point.
No, yeah, I just think it's our holiday episode. Hope everybody has a great holiday. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. And yeah, I think it's just a good time of the year to pull away from the spreadsheets. We had Cody Garrett on earlier a few months ago, right? And he talked about you have to take inventory of the things outside of your finances, and a lot of times we get caught up working for that dollar and saving and all that kind of stuff. And this is a great time of year. I think everybody does it. It just brings it out of you to kind of take inventory of your lifestyle, your friends, your families, what you value, and all that kind of great stuff.
The opinions and statements presented on this show are for general information only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations. Never make any investment or financial decisions based on information offered on this show without first consulting your financial, legal, or tax advisor. All economic and performance information mentioned on the show is historical in nature and is not indicative of any future results. All indices mentioned on this show are unmanaged and cannot be invested in directly. All information is believed to be from reliable sources. However, we make no representation as to its completeness or accuracy. Lastly, all opinions expressed by Jason Cutitta, Paul McWilliams, and any guests on the show are solely their own opinions and do not reflect the opinions of or are endorsed by ToBA Financial or Inspire Advisors. For Jason Cutitta, investment advisory services are offered through ToBA Financial LLC, a registered investment advisor offering advisory services in the state of Hawaii and in other jurisdictions where exempt from registration. And for Paul McWilliams, investment advisory services are offered through Inspire Advisors LLC, a registered investment advisor with the SEC.